Hey everyone! So let's talk about one of the most useful things you could ever learn in Korean, how to ask for permission. Saying things like, can I, or is it okay if I? By the end of this quick explainer, you are going to be able to do this in pretty much any situation you can think of.
So just imagine this for a second. You walk into this amazing cafe in Seoul. It smells incredible, and you spot one last empty seat at a table. You really want to grab it, but what do you say? How do you ask politely? That is exactly the kind of situation we're going to solve today.
And this is the magic phrase you need. 여기 앉아도 돼? It just means, can I sit here? And the little grammar pattern tucked inside this sentence, well, that's the key we're about to unlock for you. Okay, so here's our game plan. We're going to start with the magic phrase itself, then we'll break it down piece by piece. After that, we'll get into the actual grammar rules so you can use this with any verb you want. Then we'll tackle a really, really important point, the difference between asking for permission and asking about ability. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with some pro tips and a chance for you to practice. All right, let's just dive right in. I want you to think of this grammar pattern as your own personal universal key for being polite. It's your absolute go-to for checking if something is okay or allowed. The core of it all is this, 여도 돼. Now, the most important thing to get here is that this is specifically about permission. It's asking, is this allowed or is this okay according to the rules? It has nothing to do with whether you have the skill to do something, and that's a huge difference we're going to talk more about in a bit. Okay, so let's pull this apart and see how a full sentence is actually put together. Once you see the components, it becomes so much easier to remember and, use it the right way. So let's use this sentence as our model. 이거 내가 가져도 돼? Which means, can I have this or can I keep this? First up, we've got 이거, which means this. Simple enough. Then 내가 for I. The main action comes from the verb stem 가져, which means to take or to have. And then at the very end, we slap on our key pattern 도 돼, which turns the whole thing into a polite question asking for permission. And this is where it all kind of clicks into place. If you translate it super literally, what you're saying is something like, even if I take this, is it okay? But of course, nobody talks like that. It just naturally smooths out to mean, may I take this? It's a really neat little logical jump once you see it. So we know all the parts, but how do we actually build this with any verb? Well, it's super simple. It all comes down to one consistent rule that's based on the verb's final vowel sound. Let's check it out. It's really just a simple three-step recipe. First, you take your verb and you chop off the da at the end to get the stem. Easy. Second, you just look at the last vowel in that stem. And third, depending on what that vowel is, you just attach the correct ending before you add 도 돼. That's it. Okay, rule number 1. This is for verb stems that end in what we call a bright vowel, basically an a or an o sound. For these, you attach 아도 돼. So the verb 앉다, to sit, which has that a vowel, becomes 앉아도 돼. So what about all the other vowels? Well, that's rule number 2 for the dark vowels. If the last vowel of the stem is anything other than a or o, you just use 어도 돼. So take the verb 먹다, to eat. The vowel is o, so it becomes 먹어도 돼. Can I eat? And finally, we had the easiest rule of all. For any verb that ends in 하다, it always becomes 해도 돼. No exceptions. It's great. So 전화하다, to make a phone call, is just 전화해도 돼? All you have to remember are those 3 groups, bright vowels, dark vowels, and 하다 verbs. Okay, I need you to really focus on this next part because it is so important. Getting this right is what will make you sound so much more natural. We're talking about the difference between asking for permission and asking about ability. Just look at this comparison here. If you're at a beach and you ask 수영해도 돼? You're asking, is swimming allowed here? Is it safe? Are there rules against it? But if you ask 수영할 수 있어? You're asking a totally different question. You're asking, do you personally know how to swim? Do you have that skill? See the difference? One is about rules, the other is about skill. So, what if someone asks you for permission? Well, the answers are super straightforward. A simple 해도 돼 means, yeah, sure, go ahead. But you gotta be careful with the no. 아니, 안 돼 is not a soft suggestion. It's a very direct, very strong, no, you can't. It means something is absolutely not allowed. All right, you've got the grammar, you understand the nuance. Now it's time for the finishing touches. These are the little things that are going to make you sound really confident and natural when you speak. This is probably one of the best tricks in the entire Korean language. To make this phrase and so many others polite, all you do is add one little syllable to the end. 요. That's it. So 가져도 돼 becomes 가져도 돼요. That tiny sound instantly takes you from casual friend talk to politely speaking with a store clerk or someone older than you. It's that powerful and that simple.
Now let's talk about a few pronunciation tips that'll make you sound way more fluent. In fast, everyday speech, you'll often hear 돼 pronounced just like they. They kind of blend together. You'll also hear sounds linking up between syllables. For example, in 앉아도, that final consonant sound from the first block just slides over to the next one, so it sounds like 앉아도. The same thing happens with 먹어도. It ends up sounding like 먹어도. These little things are key to sounding really natural. Okay, enough theory. Time to put what you've learned into practice. I'm going to give you a scenario, and I want you to try and build the correct question to ask for permission. You ready?
Okay, first situation. You're in a really hot, stuffy room, and you'd love to get some fresh air. The verb for to open is 열다. So, how would you ask, can I open the window? I'll give you a second.
The answer is 창문 열어도 돼? Did you get it? The stem of 열다 is 열, which has that dark vowel 어. So we attach 열어도 돼. If you got that one right, awesome job.
All right, time for the final quiz. This one really tests if you understand the core concept. You're at a museum, you see a no photo sign, but you just want to double check with the guard. Which question do you ask? A, the one about skill, or B, the one about the rules? And the answer is B, of course. You're asking about the museum's rules, not whether the guard thinks you're a good photographer. So the big takeaway today is simple. Whenever you are asking about rules, what's allowed, or just general social manners, this 요도 돼 pattern is your absolute best friend. So now that you've got this key in your pocket, what's the first thing you're going to ask permission for?